The touching moment. A little girl asked to see her balance. Millionaire's reaction was amazing. Lisa wiped down the counter at the Blue Plate diner, her heart heavy with an unsettling blend of pride and fear. Her gaze fell upon Emily, who sat at their small table, meticulously counting a collection of mismatched coins. Each piece of copper and silver shone like hopes, yet to be fulfilled, and Lisa felt knots of anxiety forming in her stomach. Just yesterday, she'd barely scraped by to cover rent, and now the thought of Emily's innocent curiosity about their bank balance made her skin feel like it was crawling. "Mom, I have to show my class how we can save money," Emily declared, her bright eyes alive with excitement. Lisa's breath hitched. Visions of empty bank accounts danced in her mind, threatening to shatter the optimism she'd fought so hard to nurture in her daughter. The reality of their finances loomed like an ominous cloud, and she feared that revealing it might extinguish Emily's innocent aspirations. Could she really explain that they were struggling to make ends meet? As the clock ticked relentlessly towards the end of her shift, Lisa's mind raced. The same worn-out chairs, greasy floors, and mundane conversations offered little solace compared to the growing avalanche of uncertainty. Where had her dreams of a better life gone? She'd poured every ounce of love and hard work into raising Emily, yet sometimes deep down, doubt swirled like a storm inside her. Was this the life she wanted for them both? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Meanwhile, in the midst of his own struggles, David, a tech millionaire, found himself drawn to the diner one grey afternoon. He had been listening to people airing their frustrations at a community gathering, and it struck him just how far removed he felt from the warmth of genuine connection. As he sipped his coffee at the counter, he overheard Emily's innocent inquiry echoing in his ears. "Can we see how much money we have, Mom?" A pang of recognition hit him hard. He was far too familiar with the hollowness wealth could bring. Emily's optimism stirred buried memories within him of warmth, laughter, and the simplicity of joys untainted by financial measures. The stark contrast between his opulent lifestyle and the modest comfort of Lisa and Emily's world ground against his conscience. He could help without inadvertently casting a shadow over their life lessons, couldn't he? But would this disrupt what made Emily's innocent light flicker? Approaching them, David crafted a casual facade, mentioning a project Emily might find fascinating. Internally, turmoil swelled in him. Could he truly align his wealth with lessons of humility for the girl radiating such simple joy? In that split second, he couldn't shake the question, would guiding Emily into a world of luxury cloud her understanding of true worth? Outside the diner, the world felt relentlessly cold, while within, tension pulsed thickly with uncertainty, mirroring Lisa's unraveling thoughts. She had to shield Emily, but at what cost to her dreams? As David offered an unexpected opportunity, the stakes felt dangerously high. Would this latest turn amplify her worries or shine a light on their darkened path? The haunting question echoed through her mind. Could love stand against the crushing weight of financial despair? Their fates hung precariously in the balance, and the future loomed with unyielding uncertainty. Lisa stood behind the counter, her hands coming to rest on the worn surface as the weight of their conversation lingered in the air. David's words echoed in her mind like a persistent drumbeat. The playful innocence of Emily's request clashed fiercely with the stark reality of their situation. Could she really entertain the idea of involving a millionaire in their lives, or would it only deepen the divide between her humble existence and the life of affluence that David represented? Her fingers brushed against the dust settling on the counter as she turned her thoughts inward. Could there actually be a benefit to accepting help, framed by David's genuine desire to guide Emily? There was a flicker of a thought. Perhaps this was an opportunity for Emily to learn not just about saving coins, but about the broader landscape of financial management, a skill that would shape her future. Lisa felt a tingling of hope, only to have it swiftly slapped down by the ever-present fear of dependency. Time marched on, and the diner experienced its usual ebb and flow of customers. With each passing minute, Lisa's thoughts drifted between doubt and determination. The diner, with its greasy charm and bustling noise, held countless stories, but hers felt uniquely heavy. She imagined what it might be like for Emily to shine in front of her classmates, not just as a child with a handful of coins, but as a confident participant, raving about financial literacy and savings plans. That thought reverberated within her, a motivating undercurrent that begged for acknowledgement. The shift began to draw closer to its end when the familiar chime of the door broke her reverie. David stepped in again, his posture a mix of purpose and restraint. He slid into a booth and soon waved over to Lisa. They made eye contact, the unspoken tension stretching between them like a taut wire ready to snap. "Hey, sorry to drop in again," he said, his voice casual but with a hint of earnestness. "Got to thinking about our last conversation. I'd really like to offer Emily an opportunity, a chance to learn more about budgeting and saving in a way that's engaging. I can help facilitate something at her school." Lisa's heart raced. The surface of her emotions bubbled: fear, hope, doubt, urgency. "You really mean that?" she asked, barely able to mask her skepticism. "Helping her learn can shape her future, but I just need you to understand." Her voice faltered as she searched for the right words to express her reservations. Would this be a stepping stone or a stumbling block? "I get it," David interjected gently. "It's important to keep things grounded. This isn't about disrupting your world, but enhancing it. Emily can understand the value of money without becoming consumed by that status." The sincerity in his voice struck a chord. Lisa felt a rush of conflicting ideas, the desire to protect Emily's innocence swirling with the acknowledgement that perhaps this moment could be a pivotal learning experience. But would it be enough? She thought about their careful savings and strained budget, how they could be transformed into lessons instead of burdens. The struggle to maintain a delicate balance between ambition and reality tightened its grip on her mind. "Let me think about it," she replied, feeling the enormity of her decision wash over her. Each of them stood on the precipice of change, yet the unknown loomed large. As she cleaned the counter with renewed vigor, a fresh resolve took shape. If David truly intended to teach Emily about financial responsibility, perhaps she could embrace this twist of fate, turning potential vulnerability into empowerment. She would need to confront her fears and doubts head-on, but first she needed to gather her thoughts and make a plan. Outside, the sun dipped below the horizon, painting shadows against the diner walls. With a deep breath, Lisa felt a surge of clarity that would guide her forward. She would meet with David again, but this time fortified by her newfound resolve. As she prepared to lock up, the reflection of a tumultuous journey ahead sparked within her, an exploration of how wealth and wisdom could coexist without sacrificing dignity. The next time David walked through those doors, it would be a conversation sparked by strategy and fortified by intention, a collaboration that could define their futures. But little did she know, the questions plaguing her heart would soon demand answers that could change everything. How deep did the rabbit hole go? As the bell above the diner door chimed again, Lisa felt her heart quicken. David's familiar frame slipped into view, and she instinctively ran her hand over the counter, as if smoothing out her own unease. This time, she wouldn't allow her doubts to shape the narrative. This was a pivotal moment not just for Emily, but for her as well. David slid into his usual booth with an air of excitement, his demeanor radiating a mix of enthusiasm and seriousness. "Thanks for agreeing to meet again," he began, his gaze unwavering as he spoke. "I believe we can create something impactful together." Lisa took a breath, steadying herself against the counter. "Before we go any further," she said, voice firmer than she felt, "I need to understand what you envision. What does this opportunity look like for Emily?" David leaned forward, eyes sparkling with ideas. "Workshops, maybe even a small program at her school. We could gather other kids who want to learn about managing money. It doesn't have to be about lifestyle inflation. It can focus on savings, budgeting, and making informed financial decisions." The thought of Emily surrounded by peers, sharing her experience, lit a flicker of hope in Lisa. But the shadow of doubt still loomed. What if this turns into something that overwhelms her? Or what if she feels like she's being singled out because of your involvement? Each question echoed her fears, and Lisa felt exposed, standing on shaky ground. "Those concerns are valid," David acknowledged, his tone respectful. "But think of the skills she could gain. Money shouldn't be a taboo subject. Learning how to manage finances empowers kids, builds their confidence. It can prepare her for the world, regardless of where she eventually lands." Lisa chewed on his words, contemplating the potential. Could this lead to a transformation, not only for Emily, but also for herself? Her mind circled back to her own experiences, how she had often felt out of her depth in professional settings, and how much she longed to develop a greater financial acumen. Could her daughter learn to navigate those waters with assurance? "What about you?" she pressed, wanting to know more about his motivations. "Why do you care so much about helping Emily and her classmates?" David paused, searching for the right response. "I grew up in an environment where money was a constant source of anxiety. It was a struggle, and I always wished someone had stepped in to provide guidance. If I can be that person for Emily, it would mean the world to me." The vulnerability in his admission softened Lisa's stance. She sensed the sincerity and recognized a parallel to her own past. Hers was marked by a persistent quest for security, a desire to shield Emily from the struggles she had faced. "Okay," she agreed, feeling a tentative hope whispering to her. "But we have to create boundaries. Emily needs to know this isn't a ticket to a different lifestyle. It's about understanding her own value and making smart choices." "Absolutely," David agreed, nodding vigorously. "This can be a sustainable learning experience." As they hammered out the details, Lisa felt a renewed sense of agency. This was a partnership, a melding of their separate worlds designed to empower rather than dominate. Each idea they shared felt like a step away from her fears and toward a clarified vision of Emily's future. However, beneath her resolve, a nagging uncertainty pulsed. What if they weren't ready for this shift? The dynamic of their lives was about to change in ways she couldn't fully foresee. By the time they concluded their discussion, Lisa felt both exhilarated and unmoored. As she closed the diner for the night, a wave of determination washed over her. She was choosing to embrace this collaboration, to explore the intersection of knowledge and wealth, not just for Emily, but also for herself. But what awaited her next would challenge her perspectives even further. As she drove home, the weight of unspoken questions lurked in the shadows of her thoughts. How would Emily respond to the new opportunities? And would Lisa's resolve hold strong against the storms of insecurity that often beckoned her back? The following morning, Lisa woke before dawn, the pale glow of light creeping through her bedroom window, making the room feel bright, yet muted. Her thoughts were crowded with possibilities. A swirl of excitement and anxiety filled her chest. Could she really embrace this collaborative opportunity with David, or was she simply setting herself up for failure? As she moved through her morning routine, she found herself rehearsing snippets of conversation in her head. How would she present David's idea to Emily? Lisa couldn't dismiss the vision of Emily's bright eyes, lighting up at the prospect of learning to manage money, just as she had contemplated many times throughout her own journey of financial literacy. Breakfast became a blur of eggs and toast, her mind racing faster than her hands could move. The worry wrapped around her like a tight grip, and she could hear her own inner critic retorting that she was not equipped to handle such an endeavor. She could almost see the echoes of past failures materializing into specters that filled the space around her. Later that day, Lisa found herself at Emily's school for the parent-teacher meeting. Stepping into the small, brightly painted classroom stirred more echoes of her childhood, but this time she tried to silence the fears. The idea of Emily learning in a supportive environment offered a courage she hadn't realized was there until now. Amid the normal chatter of parents and teachers, she caught sight of David, discussing logistics with the school's finance club coordinator, a palpable enthusiasm radiating from his posture. "It's amazing what kids can learn when they have the right kind of guidance," he said, turning to catch her eye and offering a warm smile. The entanglement of emotions pushed Lisa to confront her own timidity. She didn't want to limit Emily just because she feared the unknown. She approached him, her heart racing as she prepared to propose that they discuss the plan with Emily. "Hey, David, I think it's time we include Emily in this," she stated, her voice betraying the anticipation humming beneath the surface. "If she can understand what's being planned, it could make her feel more involved." David's grin widened, and his eyes brightened even more. "Absolutely. She would thrive with the chance to share her thoughts. Let's bring her into the mix. It's important that she feels ownership of her journey." The decision had a remarkable impact. It felt as if a room filled with tension had been cracked open to allow a fresh breeze to flow in. As they discussed how to structure the first interaction, Lisa's confidence grew. She saw herself not just as a protector, but as a facilitator in Emily's discovery of self-worth and skill. Later that evening, Lisa turned the car towards home, the setting sun casting long shadows on the pavement. The car was filled with a chatty mix of Emily's stories from school, excitement spilling out about her favorite subjects. Lisa attempted to navigate the conversation carefully, looking for the right moment as they pulled into the driveway. "Emily," she began, her own heartbeat loud in her ears, "I've been talking with David about some ideas for you and your friends, about money and learning how to manage it. How would you feel about being a part of something like that?" Her question hung in the air, and she could almost feel the weight of her anxiety mixing with hope. Emily's gaze turned serious, a thoughtful frown creasing her brow. "You mean like a class?" "Sort of, but it would be less about schoolwork and more about learning how money works, so you can use it wisely later." To Lisa's surprise, Emily leaned back in her seat, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Can we also teach them to save for video games? I want to show my friends how to get the new Xbox." The innocent excitement in her voice sent a rush of joy through Lisa. In that moment, she realized they wouldn't just be learning about finance. They would be empowering children to take control of their desires while understanding the value of money. As they settled down for the night, Lisa contemplated the emotional path ahead. Would this journey truly help them grow individually? She felt on the cusp of something far larger than she had anticipated, but a lump of doubt settled at the base of her throat. As she lay in bed, her heart raced at the thought of stepping fully into this uncharted territory. Was she capable of guiding Emily through this new venture? The stakes felt higher than ever, and the thought of uncertainty loomed large. In the quiet, she could feel the flicker of something profound beginning to emerge within her, a yearning for growth that may lead her to a path unforeseen. But lurking within that hope, a whisper ignited a new anxiety. Who would she become amidst these changes? The stakes were rising, the road before them stretching into the unknown. The following morning, Lisa awoke with a sense of urgency tightening at her stomach. The sun had broken through the clouds, illuminating the room around her, yet she felt dulled by lingering doubts. Today was not just another day. It was the beginning of a potential transformation, not only for Emily, but for herself as well. How could she possibly guide Emily when she often felt adrift herself? Determined to shake off the unease, Lisa perused her notes, jotting down ideas for the first session with Emily and David. The outline of goals took shape on the page, punctuating each bullet point with the clarity she longed to embody. She envisioned their faces lighting up with understanding as she introduced fundamental concepts of saving and investing. At breakfast, Emily seemed unusually quiet. Lisa's attempts to engage in light conversation revealed her daughter's contemplative mood. "What are you thinking about?" she asked, trying to unearth the source of Emily's reverie. "What's it mean to save, Mom?" Emily's question caught Lisa off guard, drawing her attention deeper into her daughter's thoughts. The weight of the inquiry pressed down on her. She realized they weren't just discussing lessons on finance, but rather uncovering broader themes of responsibility and freedom. Saving is like putting some of your money away for later so you can buy something special or be ready for something important, Lisa explained, her own understanding expanding with the conversation. Emily tilted her head, a pensive expression replacing her previous excitement. "But why is it hard sometimes? Can't we just spend it right away?" Lisa felt a pang of honesty. "Sometimes it is hard, sweetheart. We want things now, but waiting can teach us patience and help us make better choices." Flushing with realization, Lisa recognized that explaining concepts of finance was not just educational, it was an enabler of growth for both of them. She was instilling values that had once evaded her. This rekindled a spark of determination within her. If she could guide Emily through these complexities, perhaps she could also address her fears of inadequacy. Arriving at the school, her heart quickened at the sight of David. He approached her with an open expression, buzzing with enthusiasm. "Are you ready for this? I think it's an incredible opportunity for both of us." His assurance struck a chord, bridging the gap between colleagues and collaborators. As they gathered in a sunlit corner of the classroom to brainstorm ideas, Lisa marveled at how David's relaxed demeanor helped mitigate her earlier tension. His thoughtful input made her feel less isolated in the endeavor. For once, she saw herself not as an imposter, but as someone capable of leading a discussion and facilitating the learning process. "Let's keep it interactive," he suggested, enthusiasm flashing in his eyes. "Kids learn best when they're engaged. How about a game where they can earn and save play money?" Nervous energy coursed through Lisa. Could she really pull this off? But just as David had, she envisioned these children grasping the significance of financial literacy, laughter ringing from their interactions. Moreover, she envisioned herself shedding layers of self-doubt and stepping into her role with authenticity. For the first time, she acknowledged the growth wasn't just for Emily. This was her moment to evolve alongside her daughter. What she had long perceived as barriers became opportunities to foster resilience. As they laid their ideas bare, bouncing thoughts with fervor, Lisa couldn't help but feel a shift within herself. Each suggestion solidified her belief in the project's value, igniting a new desire for self-empowerment. And yet, the truth remained that the unknown still loomed. What if they faced resistance or fell flat in execution? Wrapped in the warmth of possibility, she considered how she would navigate such obstacles. Her instincts told her to lean into the collective energy of the moment. It was about more than just finance for Emily. It was about creating an environment where exploration could thrive. The session approached and the pressure mounted. Would Emily match her enthusiasm? Would this venture enhance their bond? Or would it expose cracks she wasn't ready to confront? As these swirling thoughts emerged, Lisa felt anchored by a growing resolve. Yet as they finalized their lesson plan, the weight of the impending interaction left her breathless. What if everything she feared would come to pass? The time had come to face her worries head-on, to step into a role that required growth beyond her current limits. What awaited them? As Lisa glanced at David, she could see hope etched in his expression. But she wondered, what if the moment they stepped into the classroom revealed more about her own capabilities than she had ever anticipated? Would she rise to the occasion or falter when it mattered most? The uncertainty was palpable, amplifying the intensity of the journey ahead. As the classroom door swung open, a buzz of energy cascaded over Lisa, lifting her spirits and intensifying her nerves in equal measure. The children, exuberant in their youthful curiosity, flooded the room, their vibrant chatter filling the air. Each smile and inquisitive glance stoked both her excitement and anxiety. There it was, the moment she had envisioned. Laboring to harness her racing thoughts, Lisa observed David already rallying the kids with a playful warmth that made their bright faces shine. She forced herself to inhale deeply and center her focus. This was the beginning of a journey, not just for the children, but for her own understanding of capability and confidence. "Okay, gather around, everyone," David called with a wide grin. "Today we're going to talk about money, but we'll make it fun." Instantly the children quieted, their attention pivoting toward him and his audience-ready demeanor. Lisa felt a flicker of reassurance. She and David made a good team, their strengths complementing one another. Lisa took her place, her heart still thudding. "We're going to play a game that teaches us how to earn and save money," she announced, attempting to match David's enthusiasm while suppressing the gnawing dread that loomed in her mind. "And at the end, you'll even have a chance to see your balance." The children erupted in applause and chatter, and Lisa's pulse quickened. Their excitement fueled her resolve. She remembered Emily's question about saving. The concepts of responsibility and patience weren't just abstract ideas. They were corners she herself had to navigate daily. This was her opportunity to share that journey. Dividing the students into small groups, they set up their game. Lisa watched as her apprehension slowly transformed into a genuine thrill of anticipation. In structure, they would give the children play money for completing tasks and learn to decide between spending it on immediate treats or saving for larger prizes that would be revealed later. This mirrored the financial choices adults faced, but at their level, it felt like a tangible adventure. As the session unfolded, she noticed something remarkable. The kids were engaged, their discussions lively and spirited. They tossed around ideas on what to buy, how to save, and which rewards seemed most worthwhile. Each inquiry they made reflected a budding financial intuition, and Lisa saw a glimpse of her journey reflected in their wide-eyed wonder. But then came the moment that sent her pulse racing again. A girl named Mia looked directly at Lisa, her small hand raised. "What if I saved enough to buy something super special, but then I saw something I wanted more?" The question hung in the air, and Lisa felt its weight as it struck a personal chord. Mia's innocent yet profound quandary mirrored Lisa's struggles, the perpetual juggling of instant gratification against future security. "That's a tricky question, Mia," Lisa replied, attempting to steady her voice. "It's all about priorities. Sometimes what seems exciting right now can wait to help you reach a bigger goal later. It takes practice." Lisa felt a surge of empathy. She wasn't just instructing, she was conversing. This was more than a lesson on finance. It was about equipping these children with the tools to navigate their choices, much like she was learning to navigate her own insecurities. Before long, it was time to announce the savings balances they had accrued. Lisa could sense the growing tension, the eager anticipation of each child's play money count. As she prepared to reveal their collective earnings, a familiar knot of anxiety surfaced. Would they appreciate the lesson of saving over instant satisfaction? Lisa glanced at David, who nodded encouragingly. She took a deep breath, ready to quell the doubts stirring within. Here stood her opportunity not only to teach, but to learn. Had she instilled the values she long sought to share? She braced herself, waiting for the children's responses, hoping to catch a glimpse of their awakening. Would the moment resonate beyond the classroom walls? Would these children grasp the lasting impact of patience and choice? As the children began to reveal their balances, crackling excitement electrified the air, their expectations shimmering like the sunlight streaming through the windows. But as Lisa prepared herself for their reactions, an unsettling thought lingered. Would her growing confidence withstand the scrutiny of their innocent judgments? And what would it reveal about her own journey forward? The room buzzed with a charged anticipation as Lisa stood by, her throat dry and her heart pounding. One by one, the children began to call out their balances, their voices infused with pride and excitement. "I have $20, shouted Mia, her eyes alight with glee. Another shouted, "I have 30! Lisa felt a slight uplift with each number shared, but in the midst of their joyful noise, her inner dialogue wrestled with unease. Did they truly comprehend the lesson beneath the numbers? Were they not just celebrating immediate success, but understanding that each choice held weight, a reflection of what she herself was grappling with daily? When little Mia's voice boomed again, "I saved for the big prize," Lisa's pulse quickened. Was Mia truly grasping the essence of patience? She locked eyes with the girl, her mind racing with the implications of choices surrounding both teaching and learning. As the last child shared their score, the room erupted into a cacophony of delight and shared stories about what they would buy with their accumulated money. In that moment, Lisa leaned into her knowledge. She felt the tide of inspiration sweep through her. This could be it. Maybe, just maybe, she was not only a teacher today, she was a catalyst for change in these young lives. "Okay, everyone." Lisa stepped forward, heart racing from both exhilaration and a hint of lingering anxiety. "Now, I want to ask you, how does it feel to save versus spend immediately?" A chorus of voices erupted, each chiming in with perspectives. "It feels good to have more. I like waiting for something big. But I really want candy now." Each response unveiled not just their understanding of finance, but reflections of their small yet significant personal experiences. Lisa nodded, feeling a warmth spread through her as she guided the discussion. Yet amid the inspiration, another voice echoed in her thoughts, one that questioned her worthiness. Am I making a real impact? What if tomorrow I'm too hesitant to do this again? As the session drew to a close, Lisa felt a pang of sadness creeping in. Could this moment really transform her fears into purpose? She watched David engage the kids, effortlessly steering their energy. He noticed her contemplative state and approached her, eyes filled with an understanding beyond words. "You did wonderfully today, Lisa. They were captivated by you." His words washed over her, but uncertainty lingered. What if she hadn't reached the depth of their understanding? What if their excitement faded like it had for her in the past? But David reached out, pulling her back from her spiraling thoughts. "It's about progress, not perfection. Just like them, you're learning too." Reassurance flickered in her, but just as quickly she felt the weight of her growth still ahead. Seeing the children leave, their laughter trailing behind them as they ran out to share their day, Lisa felt a surge of longing. This experience had cracked the barriers of her self-doubt a little further, yet the deeper questions remained. Would she really embrace this new role in her life? In the quiet aftermath, as David began tidying, Lisa decided this was not just a fleeting moment. It was a foundation upon which she could build resilience and confidence. She would explore this path, face struggles, and weave her journey into theirs. Just as she began to sense the glimmer of clarity, a final thought pierced her. What if the challenge wasn't just about confidence, but confronting the deeper fears that held her back? How would she tackle those now? Equipped with this burgeoning awareness, Lisa left the classroom with a sense of purpose, paired with trepidation. The day. Just a single chapter. Tomorrow loomed with both hope and uncertainty. The crossroads of her professional growth and personal discovery felt ever present. What awaited her next? Would the day arise for her true journey of self-exploration and confrontation to unfurl? Lisa awoke the next morning with a sense of urgency layered beneath her resolve. The echoes of yesterday lingered, not merely as memories, but as an evolving challenge that she felt compelled to embrace deeply. Her reflections on the financial discussions with the children stirred a new ambition within her. She envisioned a curriculum that not only engaged, but also transformed them into thoughtful individuals, aware of their choices. As she sipped her coffee, a ritual that was once a mindless routine, Lisa now found herself consciously considering each step she took. Did she truly believe she could construct a lesson that connected saving and spending to broader life choices? The thought was exhilarating and terrifying at once. She opened her notebook, its blank pages staring at her, ready to absorb the raw inklings of her ideas. What lesson would stick? What metaphor could encapsulate the essence of patience and foresight that the children had unwittingly grasped? She felt the familiar tug of self-doubt, as if a shadow loomed over her ability to make these concepts palatable and beneficial. But today, she redirected that worry into creativity. The ink flowed, marking a series of lesson plans, each more ambitious than the last, peppered with anecdotes and exercises that pushed kids to ponder their desires versus their needs. Driven by an inspired urgency, she decided she would introduce a project, the savings journey. Kids would set a goal, track their progress, and reflect on their learning every step of the way. With renewed vigor, Lisa envisioned them creatively documenting their journeys. Maybe they could craft visual representations of their experiences. This wasn't just about numbers. It was about cultivating a mindset that appreciated the value of perseverance. Throughout the morning, those very children occupied her thoughts. She heatedly mulled over their faces, their laughter, and their questions. It wasn't simply their financial literacy she sought to enhance. She wanted them to leave her classroom equipped with newfound self-awareness, a skill more valuable than any object they might eventually purchase. However, lurking just beneath her determination was her anxiety about execution. What if she stumbled in front of them? With their wide-eyed curiosity, one misstep could cast doubt on her credibility, but the inner voice of determination deepened. If she faltered, it would be a learning experience, not just for her, but for them. The moment arrived as the kids filed in, each bursting with energy, chatter mingling and filling the room. The challenge of tackling their attention began immediately. She was up against the magnetic distraction of youth. Remembering David's encouragement, she deliberately paced herself, anchoring her focus on fostering a discussion rather than simply lecturing. Good morning, everyone! Today we are embarking on our savings journey. A cheer erupted, energies aligning with her vision. As she explained the project, Lisa felt an electric swell of empowerment. This would be more than an exercise. It would be a collective growth experience. But mid-session, an unexpected question rang clear through the energetic chatter. Miss Lisa, what if our goal is too big? What if we don't get it? A hush fell over the room, eyes turning to her, anticipation thickening the air. Her pulse quickened. That question resonated beyond finances. It touched the very core of her own journey. Panic surged involuntarily. What if you don't get it? What if I don't get it? Lisa stifled her growing fear and summoned her inner voice. This was her chance to embody the lesson she was teaching. Her answer had to reflect resilience. She felt her resolve solidifying. As she took a breath, clarity bloomed. That's okay. Think about it. If our goals feel big, we can focus on taking smaller steps together. It's about progress, not perfection. Each small step is worth celebrating. The resolute sincerity in her voice seemed to settle the uneasiness across the room. The excitement resumed, but now interspersed with newfound contemplation. Lisa felt emboldened by her careful navigation through vulnerability. It allowed her to connect not just as an instructor, but as someone journeying alongside them. However, the exhilaration of success was overshadowed by her deeper fears. What would happen if things didn't evolve as planned? Would her assessment of herself and their potential still hold true? These questions loomed on the horizon as another thought vibrated with urgency. How could she sustain this momentum when faced with inevitable setbacks? As the day wrapped up with lively planning, she realized her journey with the children was far from simple. It was messy, complicated, and profoundly rewarding. But if inner conflicts persist, how would she confront the realities of failure woven alongside her ambitions? The true test awaited just out of sight, and it loomed with the potential for self-discovery amid the distractions of ambition. Lisa left the classroom exhausted yet exhilarated, the day's discussions hanging in the air long after the children had departed. As she collected her belongings, her mind raced with new ideas that demanded her attention like a chorus of unyielding advocates. Each child's question had sparked a nickel of inspiration, and she wished to coin those thoughts into lessons of value. But within that excitement lingered an army of doubts, threatening to overshadow the day's victories. What if the children felt overwhelmed? What if her concept of the savings journey crumbled under the weight of complexity? Lisa demanded the clarity she sought while she walked home, grappling with the intrinsic belief that her hesitation could undermine not just her teaching, but also the potential growth of her students. In the stillness of her quiet kitchen, as she prepped dinner, memories of her first day flooded back to her. Nervous hands, uncertain expressions, and that fragile first statement, "I hope you all have a great year." Reflecting on her evolution, she asked herself if she was truly ready to embrace the responsibility of being a catalyst for their personal growth. Dinner was scant distraction as the fragile balance shifted in her thoughts. She opened her notebook once again, redoubling her effort to refine her ideas. The darkness of self-doubt was replaced by electric determination. Her children depended on her to instill in them the notions of accountability. She wrote, rephrased, and rewrote. Each task, each lesson plan became a testament to her growth. Late into the night, the words formed a clear vision. The rewards of saving could not merely be quantitative. She envisioned storytelling sessions woven into their financial discussions to illustrate consequences, like the parable of the ant and the grasshopper, but tailored to their world, one that resonated with their simple yet profound experiences. The anticipation of the next class buzzed in her mind, but as sleep beckoned, a nagging thought remained. Would this framework be enough to prepare them for the greater complexities of adult life? The next morning brought a peculiar energy as Lisa stood before the students anew. They looked back at her, bright-eyed and innocent, unsuspecting of the weight her own growth bore within their playful banter. As she transitioned from playful greetings to serious discussions, she could feel the gravity of her role settling upon her shoulders. "Today, we're going to delve deeper into our savings and the reasons behind them," she stated, displaying the several projects they would undertake over the following weeks on the board. Hands shot up eagerly, and to her delight, one bright girl named Maya asked, "Miss Lisa, what if we want something but we don't have enough money? What do we do?" The question hung in the air, a reflection of her own uncertainties. Rather than recoil, she inhaled deeply. Wasn't this the moment to encourage them to confront their emotions head-on? That's a great question. We can think about it together. Sometimes it helps to break it down and see if waiting might make that thing more special. As she explained this, Lisa felt the layers of her uncertainty peeling away. But as the session progressed, she sensed a looming challenge. How would she handle a scenario where one child's intense motivation clashed with another's floundering progress? How could she ensure that disparities in financial understanding didn't create rifts among them? She began to realize yet another aspect to this journey. Not every child would travel the same path or arrive at the same time, and it was her job to nurture acceptance among their peers while cultivating each individual's growth. Lisa crafted strategies for her classroom to address these differences, small group activities tailored to varying comprehension levels, collaborative projects that required mutual dependency on successes and failures alike. As she introduced flexibility into her teaching methods, she felt a rising tide of confidence wash over her. She knew that she would rely on her ability to maneuver through the messiness of emotions while providing a safe space for each child, not just for their financial insights, but for their emotional responses as well. Just when the atmosphere seemed well balanced, a more cynical student interjected, rolling his eyes. "Sounds great, Miss Lisa, but what if we just fail?" The air crackled, and Lisa felt the weight of this moment pressing down on her. In the simplest of terms, how could she assure them that failure wouldn't reflect their self-worth? That revelation tinged her resolve with urgency. How would she transform her fears of inadequacy into a powerful lesson about resilience? She stared at their curious faces, caught in the intensity of her own internal conflict. This battle against her shortcomings loomed large, demanding a confrontation, a discussion of this unspoken truth that failures are not the end, but rather gateways to growth. And as she stood poised to address their fears head-on, she grappled with the realization that she was not just their teacher, she was also learning along with them. Would they embrace this new perspective, or would they feel left behind? Lisa braced herself. The pivotal moment of truth was on the edge of revelation, and she sensed it was time to take the plunge. Would her response inspire courage or crush hope? The moment had come to face the very essence of the learning journey that now intertwined their experiences. Lisa stood at the front of the classroom, the hum of uncertainty crackling in the air. The children's eyes on her felt piercing, and beneath their curious gazes rested not just their eagerness to learn, but increasingly her own desire to transform the nebulous fears that still cast shadows over her ambitions. She took a deep breath, recalling the seedlings of confidence she had nurtured over the past weeks. Now was not the time to falter. "Great question," she replied, the tremor in her voice masked by the enthusiasm she forced radiating from within. "Failure isn't the end of the world, it's part of our learning journey. Every time we take a chance, whether we win or lose, we gain something valuable, knowledge." The children were silent, their expressions shifting from skepticism to intrigue. Fueled by their attention, Lisa pressed on, sharing her own experiences of setbacks she faced throughout her life that mirrored their struggles in the classroom. She recounted moments when doubts plagued her, when the weight of expectation threatened to drown her hopes. But each setback was simply a stepping stone, allowing me to evolve into someone more confident. As she spoke, a clarity settled within her. She had been apprehensive for far too long, bound by fear. Now, these small voices challenged her to explore courage, a courage she wished to instill in them. Lisa framed the lesson deftly, discussing the merits of perseverance, emphasizing that true strength lay not in invincibility, but in resilience, the ability to rise, to adapt. "Let's embrace the idea of failing forward together," she encouraged, feeling emboldened by the genuine delight flickering in their eyes. "Every error propels us toward wiser decisions next time." She could sense engagement rippling through the classroom, each nod encouraging her to continue. In that moment, she became the embodiment of the lesson itself. A teacher learning not only to instruct, but to co-create an environment where vulnerability itself was celebrated. Next, she broached the concept of setting realistic goals. Micro-objectives, she named them, one step at a time. Each small victory would serve as nourishment for their ambitions, enriching their understanding of patience and fortitude. As the class dived into the mechanics of budgeting action plans, she noticed how their imaginations blossomed. Ideas bounced around like confetti. They envisioned their savings goals, blending aspirations with enjoyment. The room was alive, beaming with the collective energy of creativity and hope. And Maya's idea of saving for a community playground sparked a melee of suggestions that ignited collaborative spirit. Her classmates immediately noted all the elements they would need: a bake sale, car washes, and even a mini-concert. Lisa watched, transfixed, as her students seamlessly combined effort with artistry to build a vision that transcended the realm of finance. "See how you're all working together. This project isn't just about money, it's about sharing and supporting one another," she said. The engaged responses filled her with a satisfaction she hadn't yet tasted, emphasizing the importance of cooperative learning. After class, Lisa emerged from her teaching with a renewed sense of purpose. The transformation of each child, herself included, resonated deeply within her. She had not only facilitated a lesson, but boldly embraced uncertainty alongside her students. With newfound assurance, she reflected on how far she had come. What initially felt insurmountable, the pressure to cultivate their financial literacy, had evolved into a meaningful exploration of resilience and camaraderie. Days rolled into weeks, and what began as a hesitant program blossomed into a vibrant community of young learners, eager and competent in navigating their financial futures. Each session fueled not just their knowledge on savings, but also a developing kinship between her and the children, a cherished connection that signaled her growth as both a mother and an educator. One afternoon, as Lisa finalized the latest plans for their savings journey graduation, she received an email that took her breath away. David had nominated her for a local Teaching Excellence Award, citing her innovative approach and transformative impact on her students. Recognition rushed through her like wildfire, igniting joy and pride. This was not only a validation of her efforts, but a testament to her evolution from a woman paralyzed by insecurities into a leader capable of inspiring change. Her heart soared. She had proven to herself that she could navigate both the challenges of personal growth and the intricacies of teaching. She had become a catalyst for transformation, not only for her daughter, but for an entire classroom full of spirited, curious minds. As she closed her laptop that night, she reflected on the life lessons intertwined within her journey. Lisa had stepped into her power through vulnerability and innovation, illuminating her children's strengths while resurrecting her own. With clear vision and resilience, she was ready to embrace whatever came next. The call for transformation was irreversible. They had embarked on a journey together, embodied in shared experiences of triumph and growth. That night, as she drifted to sleep, a sense of satisfaction enveloped her. The shadows of doubt had receded, replaced by the warm glow of possibility. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, and with it, new opportunities to learn and to teach, to grow and to shine. Lisa had truly found her voice, and she was ready to champion the journey ahead. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share.